First off, I think most of y'all know who I am. I'm Mama Moon Tears here with Unity Community, sharing some information. Um, this month, our WoW walkthrough topic is the War Within dungeon. So we're going to be going over the 8 new dungeons that are being released in World of Warcraft. This is not the season 1 dungeons that you'll be doing Mythic Plus on. These are the 8 dungeons that you can do heroic and normal on. Also, something to note: this was their War Within release screen from BlizzCon. Um, one of these. The old city is not the old city. It is the Arakara city or something. So just heads up there, be aware of that. But we're going to go ahead and dive straight into our dungeons. I didn't do any vocabulary words this week. I'm not going to lie. The amount of time it took me to get these videos took me longer than what I expected. And I couldn't do it while I was streaming because the content was just not there. Beta has quite a few glitches, one of them being that you cannot queue for heroic dungeons right now. So you can't do heroic dungeons right now, which is quite frustrating. And so yeah, queue times are taking about 30 to 45 minutes as a healer. I don't even want to know what DPS queue times are right now. I'm queuing up for normal. So some of these guides and mechanics are on the normal level, some of them are on the heroic level, and some of them are on the mythic 0 level. And let me tell you guys, it gets spicy. It gets spicy on that Mythic 0, but I did want to show all the boss mechanics, and let's get right into it. So we're going to be looking at Arakara, City of Echoes first. We got 3 bosses in here: Avanox, Anub, and Katal. Yeah, y'all, I like to put your names. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So spider dungeon, we're gonna do the bite there. That is a tank mechanic. Definitely want to make sure that you have some sort of defensive. And then that last one, we I'm still talking. That can't even. Mm. Here we go. There's the bite. That's the tank mechanic. And then we have this onslaughter that is going to do like a pulsing no, that was not onslaughter. What was that? That shrill. That does like a pulsing AoE. That's going to be on the healers to heal up. Also notice that these eggs are off in the distance. We got some spiders coming in. They focus you. You can knock them back. You can stun them. Do everything to make sure that they don't hit the player. And that boss was pretty easy. It was on normal. Next boss, a nub. You got an impale. It has a really long cast time, so make sure you don't get hit by that. He burrows down and he goes across, and then he does that impale again right after he burrows. So be aware of that. This mechanic I did not get to see a lot of once we go into the Eye of the Storm. So yeah, sorry we don't have video on that one. Next up, we have, gosh, this goes really fast. We have the last boss, Katal. So let's go back to the beginning of you. We got webs coming down first off, and then they do web up, and there are purple on the ground. He is pulling you here in for the cosmic singularity, and then he knocks you back, does some AoE damage, and then Venom Volley is some more AoE damage as well. I felt like this dungeon was pretty straightforward compared to some of the other ones. Next up, we have Cinder Brew Meadery. This first boss, the happy hour mechanic, is a little confusing, and I was not able to bring the brewskis over to the audience or the patrons. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to or not as a healer, or if that is a tank doing it. But I did get some images of that. First off, we got some brew on the ground. Don't stand in it. It hurts, obviously. We've got a frontal that swings, so be aware of that. And then this cake smashes on the tank. The tank gets knocked back there. Next up, we are in the happy hour cast. So the boss comes behind the bar, starts casting happy hour. There's some brews on the bar. You grab them, you take them over to the Patreons. It didn't work for me. And then I was able to see that it worked for some others. You take them to the Patreons, you kill the ads. We've got that AoE on the tank there. And notice that there is some pulsing AoE damage during this phase as well. This is on normal, so it didn't hurt too bad, but I have a suspicion once you get up into higher levels, you definitely want to keep your group together. This is where we're all going, like, what are we supposed to do next? So here, that guy grabbed one of the brews. You can see there's an animation on him as well. He's going to take it over here. And once he goes over there, nothing happens, and we're like, what are we supposed to do next? And then the boss eventually stops casting happy hour, and we're able to finish him off. There we go. That happy hour, like I said, I'm not sure if it's just the tanks that can grab the brew, but going on to Barack Busby. Once again, we got a pulsing AoE on the boss and brews on the ground. That seems to be a theme here. A lot of the party fouls. We've got Fluttering Wing pushing everyone back, doing AoE damage. Honey Memorial is that red circle on our tank there, and then it drops the brew at the end. And that was pretty, once again, short and sweet here. IPA is more brews on the ground. Why am I not surprised? As you can see, it's putting little golden AoEs on the ground. And then it's spawning ads. When the ads reach him, he gets a shield and does AoE damage to everybody. So just be aware of that. Try not to let the ads touch him, right? And then eventually that big splash of beer does go away. All right, this is the final boss. As you can see, we immediately... slow. Oh my goodness, I can't keep up. We immediately have some pig barrels on the ground. And I don't think there's a specific pattern to this, so just be aware of that. It's over the entire room. There's a keg smash on the boss just there, not the boss, on the tank. So at some point in time, she's going to cast this burning Rockasheer. I took mine off of all the barrels, and then a DPS took theirs on the barrels. So watch this DPS because it's going to ignite the barrels, and then the barrel is going to shoot out some flames. So pay attention to that. See how that a barrel is ignited up there. We got a cash cannon. That's the knockback on the tank. And then we have those 4 shooting out. And then once one of them hit a barrel, it started shooting that out as well. So I'm not sure if we're supposed to use the barrels in the future, like in a Mythic Plus situation, to do damage to the boss, or if you want to avoid all the barrels. Just be aware, like I said, this is early beta, and technically they can change any of these mechanics at any point in time. But I did want to get eyes on everything, let you guys get a basic visual. I'm a very visual person, so. All right, we've already seen this. Let's move on to City of Threads. We got 4 bosses in here. And I will mention that I did include some trash images on this one because I got lost quite a few times. So I wanted to make sure that you guys did not get lost. So just heads up there. All right, starting with first boss here. She has a purple AoE. And if you get out of her purple AoE, if you guys saw there at the beginning, she drug me back in. You just want to stay in that purple AoE. So you watch, go out. She's like, nah, you staying with me. You my homie. There's Subject going out. And then she has a frontal there. Once again, we got purple on purple. Not saying anything. And then there's that frontal. So very, very basic here. And then Subject is, I believe, on the tank. Here's an AoE coming out as well. Y'all just stay in that inside ring, make it easier on your healers. All right, this is where we get into the trash. I recorded a little bit because You go across a bridge, you get stunned. But if you see there's like purple down there, you want to stay out of these blue rings. That's where people can see you. But do you see these little purple guys? You need to follow them. They lead you to um they lead you to mobs that will change, and then you need to kill the mobs. I can't remember exactly how many are there of them, but you need to keep following the purples till you kill all the special mobs, and then the purples were going to take you to this spider queen. Slurry says you think there's three. I feel like one of the times there was like five. Like my group split, and like me and a DPS did two, and like the tank and the other two DPS did a couple. So I'm not 1,000% sure on the number, so I don't want to put numbers in anyone's heads. All right, so once again though, what happened? You just keep following the purple guys until you get to the queen, and then she will take you to the boss. So that is between the first and second boss in City of Threads. So here's that queen spider I'm mentioning, and they're gonna open up the way for you. So follow the purple until you get to her, kill the things that attack you, and then you get the bosses. Just a heads up, we did this without a tank on normal mode just because beta. So we got a frontal there. This is a very similar frontal to the last boss, but if you notice, it's coming out from two spots there. So one from the shadow image, and then one from Na. And then we have a second boss over here casting knife throw. We've got some purple puddles on the ground moving around, and then we've got this purple around the boss. Don't stand in that, obviously. And then that tank came and brought that lovely little AoE on me. And then we have slashes. I really liked the animation for these, the charges going across, and then they come back. So just realize they went across once and then came back the same way, and then they did two more, but those were different directions. All right, getting into coagulation. Got a knockback there that we see right away, and then there's black orbs. Soak those black orbs before they get to him. Similar to the elemental boss from Algathar Academy. Last boss here. This is the last boss. We got moving balls on the ground now. Make sure you try and stay out of their pathway. The weave roots you, just a heads up, and does an AoE damage to you when it roots. And then Spice is more AoE damage, putting a nice little tick on you. And then Tremor Slam is going to be on the tank. You don't want to stand in that. It hurts, so melee DPS definitely move out. Then she spawns some scarabs and does this ball AoE damage to the tank. Tank, try not to take that on to your friends. Yeah, I know we have a lot of mechanics, but look, we're already halfway through the WoW walkthrough and not halfway through the dungeon. So getting on to Dark Flame Cleft. This one had some fun fights on it. We're gonna start with old Waxbeard. So, first off, you saw that minecart. Yeah, watch out. We've got some AoE ads to take care of. Just a heads up. So when the AoE ads first came out, they had a normal threat table. Now you can see that all of them have eyeballs on them. That's the end of the luring cast there. They're going to focus on somebody. Whoever they focus on is going to take lots of damage from them if they get to them. These are knockbackable, stunnable, all that good stuff. So nice knockback from the mage there. Now we have a reckless charge. See that arrow on the kitty cat there. And then we've got some falling rocks from the ground. The whole time you are going to have Minecraft carts coming from both directions. So make sure you just don't position yourself on to the rail tracks. On normal level, it did, I think, like a quarter of my damage. So no, not bad. But I'm sure on heroic, It'll be a bit different if you're not overgeared. Just a heads up there. All right, then we moved on to Blazicon, doing a pulse AoE damage there. And then Barrage is coming out. We have a couple of different people, 3 in this particular situation, getting that fire barrage on them. So just move that away. Try not to attack your friends with it. Incarnate Flame went out. And then we went right into the Inferno. Inferno to Breath. So just AoE damage there on normal mode. Not too bad. But realize once you get into the heroic mode, those kind of come right after another. All right, this guy, the Candle King. So, shoot. Come on, Moon. You better this. I wanted my pause button. The Candle King. First off, he's going to do a cast that puts a copy of all the different players out. They just sit there. There is an interruptible cast there. Make sure you get your interrupts off. And then you get this Dark Flame Pickaxe. You want to go ahead and put that in between you and one of these characters. And then we've got a debuff on some friends there where they've got the AoE circle around them. It is dispellable. And then that Dark Flame Pickaxe, again, you see that guy running it behind one of the other characters, so he does not actually take the pickaxe. All right, the Darkness. Just a heads up, y'all, I didn't want to do any spoilers as far as like cool mechanic, like cool things from the dungeon. So, there's some cool things that happen between the third boss and the last boss in this dungeon. So, I hope you guys are excited for that. If you don't want spoilers, they're not there. But you're gonna end up fighting the Darkness. There's candles on the ground right now. You can see that candle at 100%. When you stand in the candle, you can cast. When you are not near a candle, you cannot cast. You cannot see. You're in darkness. There you see I go into the darkness. We got a Shadow Blast going on that character. Try not to bring it to your friends, but at the same time, you know, you're trying to stay a range of the candle so you can actually see and cast. We've got a Frontal that was on the tank. And then Gloom fears everybody. So Tremor Totems would be good there. And then you guys saw that interruptible cast. Once again, we have that forward slash there. Frontal. Followed by the fear immediately. How's that one? It's rough getting a good perspective on some of these in normal mode because they just die so quickly. So I can't honestly tell you what mechanics are going to be extremely rough. But I do think the darkness will get rough because of the candlesticks quickly burning down and just being in the dark. So just be aware of that. All right, Dawnbreaker. This one's confusing. So you first load into a city area. The first one thing you want to do is get on this ship. So this lady's hollering at you the whole time. Get on board the Dawnbreaker. Get on board the Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker. And the way that things start rolling off is you just start killing ads, and eventually the Dawnbreaker goes flying off. Here we go. I did have to include some things on this dungeon because if you didn't know to do these, then you just kind of be SOL. So here we've gotten to the point where we've killed the ads, and there's 2 ships on either side of the Dawnbreaker. You need to fly over to each of the ships as a group and do some things. Now we're getting into the first boss here. I can't remember if this is on normal or heroic mode, but I will say this is a hard dungeon. So just a heads up there. We've got collapsing darkness. We've got those purple orbs on the ground pulsating. And then we just had an interruptible cast there. The shadow bolts, you do want to interrupt as many as possible, but she's just going to constantly cast those between things. All right, this is Darkness Comes. And those purple things on the ground get super big. This is when you take flight. Don't do what I did. Don't just keep flying. Once she's done casting there, you can get your butt back on the boat. If you're a tank, make sure you're there. Um, Also, if you're ever confused on where to go, you can follow the orbs, but in this case, I just started following them too late. So just a heads up there, be aware. Don't do that. All right, getting back in, we've got that collapsing purple stuff on the ground, some shadow bolts to interrupt, and then that darkness comes. So once again, she's literally at 1 damage, 1 health, and she casts that again. I don't know if that's a glitch. I don't know if we hit a timer. But be wary of this. I did do better this time. I was like, oh, the cast is done. Oh, the purple ball is gone. We can turn around. All right. Next up, this is some more trash information between her and the second boss. Storm Guard, Gorin. You're gonna have to kill some mini bosses in your map. They are marked with that bright yellow. I think there's 3 in this one. Slurry, if you're still around, might be able to comment on that as well. But you do need to kill those. They're easy on whatever level this is. Like I said, this dungeon was a struggle. So if this was just normal mode, then we need to watch out for heroic. All right, this is a nub. You saw that dark orb just go out. It targets a player and then sends a dark orb after them. You can move out of it though. So that was on Eyelash, and I don't think Eyelash got hit by it. No, they were able to move out, but it does do an AoE damage. Terrifying Slam was on the tank there. Get that out away from your friends. And then Shadowy Decay is an AoE to heal through, so make sure you stay nice and close and tight. And then I wanted to show the orb one more time because I got targeted by it this time, so you can see the whole animation. So I was... Yep, there's the dark orb on me. You stand there, it's a long cast, and then you move, and that dark orb is going to go out in the direction that I was in. So very easily to avoid. All right, and then you get back on the boat. All right, this boss is a beast, and I would need you guys to understand this first mechanic really well because this mechanic will kill you. So we're going to go back to that. That is an rolling acid. See how there was a green target on that guy? I don't know who that was. But the way it works is it rolls in one direction. Right? Like, yeah, good. All right. So the straight line, you want to be on the straight line side of that mechanic. If you are on this side of the mechanic where like it hazes out, that is the wrong side of the mechanic. You're going to get hit by that. It stuns you. It does damage to you. It does not feel good. So if you have that on you, you can, if you have the toxic roll on you, you can move it close to the group. There was a spray AoE there. That way your buddies can get on the correct side of you. And then that rolling acid. Here we go. So it's on that side. Another thing that I'm featuring here is these bombs on the ground. I'm featuring it really good here. Breathy bombs are spawning in. There's that bomb on the ground. You can pick it up and move it. See how I got stunned? Moved it to the boss to do boss damage. There's somebody moving it onto the boss. Place it down, and then it's going to explode here in just a second or two, and it'll do some boss damage. Okay, maybe not there. Then the boss says, I'm done fighting you up here. Let's go fight on the ground. So you're going to mount up. And follow the orbs. Got a nice little boat to follow around with orbs. Boss lands, starts channeling that cast. You need to interrupt it to engage him into the next set of the fight. Now we're going to have the same mechanics here. We've got that acid roll. Once again, be on the straight line side of it, not on the wavy line side of it. Next up, we have the strands. This is like putting webs on the ground. Try and move them away from the boss so that the melee have a good place to do them. And then that AoE. So we have all the same mechanics here except for the bombs. But that the strands on the ground and then people not doing those toxic wave correctly, just really, really difficult boss. He also does not have to go all the way to 100% zero. Me. That boss was a difficult one. That one was wiped on multiple times. So just a heads up there. Oh no, no. We did that. All right, the rockery. The rockery, I have 2 videos recorded on normal, but I did do the rookery at some point on heroic. There is a mechanic missing on the normal videos. I did it as often as I could. Those queue times were killing me. So just a heads up, you want to clear the whole room unless you're able to zerg this boss down because you're going to need the whole room for a mechanic. I'm going to explain this mechanic now, but at some point in the fight, he goes into the center and he shoots out a beam. The beam can go both clockwise and counterclockwise, and does a lot of nasty damage. But so you want to try and run away from it, which means that sometimes you're going to have to run that way. So either that or clear one side and then tank them in the middle of that side instead of this particular group. I want to say tank some over here close to those ads. So just a heads up there, either clear extra ads or make sure that you have lots of room to run away from a beam. Otherwise, you're going to have ads and the boss. All right, let's get into it. Lightning dash, he has a nice AoE on the ground that he dashes out to. Chain lightning, so you do want to spread out a little bit, and then unstable charge is on that tank. Without that beam coming out, it was a really simple mechanic. Simple fight. All right, this next boss, we pulled ads onto, so heads up, a little clustery, but I really liked this boss. He has a jump, and then his jump has these purple pillars coming out. Don't stand in them. And then he's going to pull you in, so make sure you try not to put the purple patches between yourself and Stormguard. I really like this boss. I thought he was pretty cool. And then we've got purple stuff on our one of our DPS there. So next up is you're going to jump down here, leap of faith. You won't die. I include that just in case. This boss was pretty cool too. Void Storm, Monstrosity. He's got this really cool frontal coming out. That beam is super cool animation, very well seen. He does spawn some ads, and then this AoE thing. I think you're supposed to kill the ads with that. I'm not 1000% sure though, so heads up. But you do want to kill the ads. They cast that reshape, which puts a shell on the boss as well. Then we go into a second phase where we got purple stuff on the ground, ads to kill, rinse and repeat there. And there's that charge. That was the rockery was probably one of the easiest, fastest dungeons out of all the ones that I ran, which is all of them. So, all right, Stone Vault. All right, friends, this is the one that I did on Mythic 0. We've got some intense fights in this, so just a heads up. First off is Edna. He's pretty easy. He casts these pillars on the ground and then the refracting beam. You want to hit the pillars with the refracting beam. So the Earth Shatterers is the pillars. They spawn on players. Excuse me, the spike. The other one was just a AoE. Or yeah, AoE. And then the spike is the one that spawns the rock pillars. So you want to position yourself between the rock pillars to make sure that you take those out. Here's a bad example of what to do. If you don't give your DPS enough room to get in there, then it's really hard for them to get on those. If you touch those pillars, one of the DPS said that he was getting knocked out by them. So just a heads up there. All along though, that is the second to easiest fight in this one. This guy is Gamrak is difficult. Let's get back to the beginning of this one because this is the hour long that I spent. So first off, we have that crystal smash, which is that smash on the tank. And if you stand in that as a DPS, you're gonna die. Come on now. So there is a DPS standing in that, and he is about to get one shot. Wada bing, wada bim. That tank almost got one shot too. Then he's gonna spawn ads, and at the same time that he spawns ads, he also does a purple AoE around him. At this point, all DPS needs to move to the ads. These ads need to die as soon as possible. If they don't die within a certain amount of time, they increase the shield that he's going to get during AoE phase. It's similar to the last boss in Dottie Fall. So the first part of Dottie, where he gets a shield and he does like pulsing AoE while the shield is up, and then once you kill the shield, then he stops AoEing. This boss does something very similar, and the more ads that are up before he starts casting that, the bigger his shield is. So switch to the ads, kill them. Do not AoE them down though, because they do AoE damage to everybody. So at one point in time, we do kill all of them at once, and we killed some of our friends. I think that's where it happens right here. We kill 3 pretty quickly, and we all die. Oops. There's these little black balls flying around on the ground. You want to soak those up. They are a damage boost while he has his shield up, and they are a healing boost. You're going to see me at some points in time getting up to almost 1 mil in healing during this void discharge. So that was a good void discharge there where we killed the ads. See how that DPS said it seems much better. See, we have quite a few ads up here. His shield is much larger, and we end up being in this phase for so long that we end up dying. So that is what's happening there. He's going to stay in that phase until that shield goes down. You can also see that none of my DPS have the debuff there, so he's just like zerging us, and I just about ran out of everything there. So just a heads up there. And then this is rinse repeat, showing the ads spawning, killing the ads appropriately, not too fast. That ring is around him. See how we killed all 3 at once and we just about died. Those are the black orbs on the ground. Make sure you soak them up. Make sure your healer also gets one. That way they can heal through this immense amount of damage. I think this is where we kill him, yeah. So that was a fun boss. Once you understand it, it goes so much smoothly. All right, this is the Forge Speakers, also known as the Master Machinist. We got a nice cool AoE bomb going out that's a frontal. Saying scrap song on the tank hurts. Try and interrupt as much as those molten heats as you can. But we just missed a huge mechanic there. You do not want to sit out in the middle of this boss because that block just comes through and destroys you. Demolished. They're going to put some AoE fire on the ground. This boss gets really chaotic, showing that beam going through again there. There's that frontal from the big machine. And trying to find a good place is hard. All right, this is the fireballs going out on the floor. And then at some point in time, they go into the middle. They all jump into the middle. The middle here. And at this point, after doing probably about a good half an hour, 45 minutes on this boss, I honestly cannot tell you where to stand during this mechanic. Because when they jump into the middle, they also, the big thing comes through, that's a one shot. And then there's also this fire patch on the ground. And then we have waves of fire going through where you're supposed to be standing. So I don't know where you're supposed to stand there. Try and dodge as much fire as possible. Definitely don't get hit by the block though, for sure. There's that scrap song on the tank. And then here, you do want to kill them evenly. So the machinist goes down, and then this guy gets buffed, and he just kind of like goes to town, does AoE damage on us, and it was just miserable. This is also before the tank nerf, FYI, so don't judge my healing. I was trying to do as much healing and DPS as possible there. All right, last boss. This is the easiest boss out of the dungeon. Pay attention here. We've got two void summoning patches back there. We're going to be using them here in a minute, so always try and be aware of where those are at. Range DPS, try not to use the ones that are close to melee here in the next mechanic. Melee, run out as soon as possible to get these. All right, so the first mechanic, though, that we're going to be talking about is the Unbridled Void. He casts this towards a quarter of the room. This is a good example of him standing in the middle and it covering a quarter of the room. I actually said that wrong because it doesn't cast in a corner of a room. He cast it in one direction and it covers that entire direction. So this one, it's nice because he's in the middle and so he's only covering a quarter of the room. You want to get out of that. In this next demonstration of that, he is pulled off on the side and look how it covers almost the entire room there. So he turned in that direction and lots of damage there. All right, Void Corruption puts a dot on you. Notice how everyone has a nice little dot. This is ticking damage. The longer you have it on it, the more your healer is going to have to heal you. And this is what you're going to be running to those summoning portals. When you run it into the summoning portal collapses right there. I did that at the same time that the other mechanic was going off. So normally it does not leave a purple ground piece. The purple ground piece is from that other mechanic that he had put on us. Watch how this guy, though, does not get this removed, and I just have to sit there and cast. So this Reckoning is the one that puts the purple on the ground. But when you bring it over to notice how that DPS, when he brought it over, that one went in. Once again, showing how he just faces a direction. It's not just a quarter of the room. All right. That was the Stone Vault. All right. This is another example. This is the Priory of the Sacred Flame. You will see on my mini maps, multiples of them, that there are mini bosses. There are multiple mini bosses. There are 3 in this one that you need to take out before you can kill the boss. So I just wanted to point that out there. And then we have the boss spawn in, Captain Dalcry, I believe. All right, he does hurl spear here. He's gonna hurl that at a player that goes off there, and then he jumps over there. Battle cry. This one you couldn't interrupt, but I do remember seeing one that you could interrupt. Holy Radiance coming from that extra spawn in there. That is part of the boss fight. He does pull with him, so try and get that one down as quickly as possible. See, that battle cry was interruptible and the first one was not. I bet you it's because that ad was up. So when the ad is up, the battle cry cannot be interrupted. Once you kill the ad, then you can interrupt Captain Dalcry. And then pierce armor onto the tank there. So make sure that you have a cooldown for that. All right, getting into Baron. Here's Hammer of Purity coming out. Throws a little AoE down on the ground. And then 3 hammers are going to spawn from that. So if it's on you, try and get as far away as possible. Don't do this. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh. There we go. I totally just ate multiples of those for funsies. All right, here's Burning Light. Make sure you interrupt that. And then here's those hammers out again, but fairly straightforward boss. I will say in the Priory of the Sacred Flame, I took a video of this bit too. Y'all, this is a normal and the trash trucks in this one. Especially these pulls between your first boss and the second boss. They're very large trash pulls. There's a lot of AoE on the ground. There's a lot of casts that need to be interrupted. If you're a tank, please pay attention to your healer's mana before pulling. I'm doing 900k heals per second here on this trash on a normal. So it's intense. Multiple priests, multiple paladins in these pulls. So that is some of the reason for that. All right, Priestess, we got Holy Smite coming out multiple times, and then Holy Flame Does an AoE there on the ground. Do notice that there's some hammers coming out. And then Purify um went out there. Then she jumped up and did Embrace Life. This is where we need to run up these stairs, go after her. Some ads show up here. I don't know if those are ads that she pulled or if they're like that she created, if they're ones that pulled from the room, because we didn't clear all the ads. Once she goes into that phase, once you kill her shield, then interrupt her. And then Stroke the Flame is that AoE of hammers coming out, and then Purify. That's the last dungeon. That's all we got, folks.